Today, we are going to be exploring a diasporic historic story of Igbo impact. Ndewonu, no. No. On today's episode of Mpako, we are honoring the Igbo legacy in Virginia, USA. Did you know that Virginia was once the heartland of Igbo presence in the Americas? Between 1698 and 1778, the enslaved people who were brought from West Africa to Virginia were mostly of Igbo ancestry. There were the highest number in South Carolina and Virginia. Scholars estimated that Igbo people constituted over 40% of the enslaved population in Virginia's lower tidewater region in this time. Researchers like David Eltis reveal that between 30 to 45% of the enslaved Africans imported into Virginia came from the Bight of Biafra because they were stripped of their indigenous names when taken. Enslaved manifests, bills of sales, and plantation documents, they were often marked as Igbo, Ebo, or simply Bites, denoting the coastal region of their capture. Why so many, you would ask? Because British merchants in Bristol and Liverpool had made the Bight of Biafra their central hub of trade due to their hard-working attributes. Ships sailed frequently from Bonny, Calabar, and Igbo hinterlands, loaded with lives mostly of Igbo ancestry, and they were sold for way higher because, again, they were known as a people who worked so hard. But in time, Igbo people were feared and sold off to other colonies. In places like South Carolina and Georgia, planters saw the enslaved people of Igbo ancestry as too rebellious, too influential, prone to defiance, and spiritually strong. And so they were sold en masse to Virginia, where plantation owners believed they could break them, but they didn't. Even there, they were known for their strong-willed nature. Many of the Igbo captives resisted enslavement through acts of rebellion and, tragically, suicide. Their determination to regain and retain their autonomy earned them a reputation among slave owners and traders. However, they faced some punishing challenges due to these qualities. In 1732, the grandfather of President James Madison, Ambrose Madison, died under mysterious circumstances at his Montpelier plantation. Historical analysis suggests that enslaved workers were accused of it. The book Murder in Montpelier, Igbo Africans in Virginia by Douglas B. Chambers explores that those involved were probably of Igbo ancestry. However, it is important to note that while Chambers presented this perspective, other historians have approached the identification of these individuals' ethnic origin with caution, citing the limited and ambiguous nature of historical records. Thus, while the Igbo origin of these individuals is a plausible theory, it remains a subject of scholarly debate due to scarcity of definite evidence. Subsequent investigation led to the arrest of 3 enslaved people, Pompey, Tok, and Dido, and they received corporal punishments, including the execution of Pompey. In Virginia, the captives of Igbo origin influenced the business and function of poultry, basketry, woodwork, textiles, and agriculture. Not forgetting contributing greatly to American folklores and music. The Igbo spirit endured. It resisted. It taught. It farmed. It chanted in silence. Anyị bụ ndị Igbo, ndị bụ onye rọ. Nchọrọkọtọ nchọ niile agaghị egbuche nwanyị. And in places like the Tidewater and Piedmont regions of Virginia, their footprints remain, buried under soil in agriculture, language, food, and songs. Elements of Igbo music and folklore have seamlessly integrated into Virginian culture, influencing local traditions and artistic expressions. To honor and preserve the historic rich heritage of the Igbo people, the Frontier Culture Museum in Stanton, Virginia, reconstructed a 17th century Igbo family compound known as the West Africa Exhibit and popularly called the Igbo Village in Virginia. The Igbo Village is in tangible recognition of the contribution of Igbo victims of Atlantic slave trade to the development of Virginia and the greater American frontier culture. The exhibition represents the life in free Igbo household in the Biafran hinterland in the 1700s. In building the Igbo village, many indigenous Ndi Igbo were brought in to contribute immensely. A lot of our people contributed their time and effort in birthing this project. Dr. Nwachukwu Anakwenze, who is a member of the board of the museum, Teacher Akoma, who was the principal consultant for the project. He also led some members of the museum in a research visit to Igbo land. Many members of the Council of the Igbo States in the Americas also volunteered, but not forgetting the vast majority of non-Igbo people and students from Virginia who contributed their time and effort in ensuring that the Igbo Village project was bettered into reality. In the summer of 2022, I had the profound honor of serving as an educational intern and an ambassador in the village at Virginia. So I spent almost 3 months there. So for almost 3 months, I was housed in the museum as an educational intern and researcher as I explored the village and contributed in Igbo narratives. I also interviewed most of the executives about the village. So we shall be dealing with a detailed story of the Igbo village in another episode. But for today, we are focusing on Igbo legacy in Virginia. The Igbo legacy in Virginia is a narrative of strength, resilience, and enduring cultural influence. So as we celebrate Igbo ingenuities, we honor the countless individuals of Igbo ancestry whose resistance, resilience, and contributions have shaped history. Their legacy is not buried in silence. It rises in every field they tilled, every song they carried. In today's episode, we honor those whose blood watered the roots for freedom. Their strength did not vanish in chains. It shaped a nation. This is where I'll bring it to an end in today's episode of Mpako. My name is Amarachi Atama Ugu. Next episode, we will come again with another story. Ekele munu.